Sorghum is Africa's second most important cereal because it is the primary source of daily calories of 300 million sub-Saharan Africans. For Kenyan farmers, sorghum is also one of the few crops that grows well under local conditions because it is naturally drought and heat tolerant. Given its importance as a staple crop and ease of farming, plant scientists are now developing sorghum crops with enhanced nutritional content to improve the health of millions of people. In Kenya, sorghum is one of the traditional cereal crops with a wide agroecological adaptation and great potential to improve food and nutrition security and to enhance industrial growth. A baseline survey conducted in Nakuru and Siaya counties by the Ministry of Agriculture in 2012 found out that sorghum production and uptake is low. Despite the numerous benefits that it possesses and research efforts made in the past, its adoption, production and utilization as a staple and commercial crop in Kenya remains low. This is largely due to low yield, lack of specific varieties for the diverse products, inadequate product promotion, and unfavorable policy environment. At the farm level, poor agronomic practices, diseases and pests, undeveloped seed supply systems, and poor marketing channels limit sorghum production. Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization is undertaking a series of trainers workshops for extension staff, service providers, and lead farmers on sorghum value chain from 10 counties at KALRO, Naivasha. The county governments receiving training include Isiolo, Mandera and West Pokot, selected to prioritize sorghum value chain to reduce poverty, improve food and nutrition security, especially for women, children, youth and vulnerable groups.
Sorghum is a very important crop, especially for the families in the arid and semi-arid areas. And because of climate change, the conditions have even worsened. Therefore, in those areas, sorghum is almost the only crop that can do very well, the few crops that do very well. As you are aware, sorghum is not only food, it is also feed for livestock. It is also used in brewing beer. And recently, the government has passed a regulation whereby it will be a requirement to blend wheat flour and maize flour with sorghum. So we expect that the consumption of sorghum will go up, the demand of sorghum will go up. Our current production is about 0.5 to 0.9 metric tons per hectare. Yet the potential that we have is up to 8 tons per hectare. The reason why farmers are not getting that level is because they are using the wrong seed, they are using the wrong management practices because they are not aware. And as you might also know, the biggest challenge that has been facing the agricultural sector is that the linkage between research and extension has been very weak. So here today, KALRO is bridging that gap because we are training extension officers, we are training lead farmers, we are training service providers so that they can fill that gap and go and train farmers in the field.
According to FAO statistics, crop production data of 2019, Kenya produces about 206 metric tons of grain sorghum on an area covering 229 hectares. Conversely, the annual demand for sorghum grain for domestic consumption has increased to 270,000 metric tons. This is because lifestyles have changed towards nutritional, healthy eating habits observed both in high-end eateries and our villages. Sorghum food products have high benefits such as high protein content, starch, calcium, iron, crude fiber, and are gluten-free. In the industry sector, brewers also use sorghum as an ingredient for making beer. In Kenya, the East African Breweries Limited is the leading sorghum processor, targeting white sorghum varieties, mainly Gadam sorghum, while millers have been using it to process value-added products such as animal feeds and blended flour.
For this one, it can be harvested at different stages. You can harvest it when it is green, and you can feed to animal as a green chop. The only thing is that you have to cut the silage in the evening, and you feed the following day, because some of the sorghum varieties, they have a certain percentage of prussic acid. So the moment you cut it in the evening and you feed it in the morning, the content of prussic acid will have decreased. So by morning, almost all of it will have disappeared. So that is one of the advantages it has. You can feed it as a green chop. Then from there, you can harvest it when it is dry, when the seeds are already matured, and by then you can feed it in 2 ways. You can either do silage, you can silage the forage content, or still you can feed it the way it is as the herbage.
This has caused renewed interest in the commercial production of sorghum, offering farmers opportunity for income generation and employment creation. Sorghum commercialization generates approximately 4 billion shillings annually and engages over 250,000 farmers and other stakeholders in Lower Eastern, Upper Eastern and Western counties of the country.
The demand is 270,000 metric tons. So there's a deficit of about 70,000 metric tons. And we expect that gap to grow unless we use modern methods of farming, sorghum, unless we use modern varieties that have been developed that are high yielding, unless we reduce post-harvest losses. Then we cannot be able to bridge that gap. As KALRO, what we are doing as KALRO is, one, we have developed management practices that enhances production and minimizes losses. Two, we have developed varieties that are high yielding. Like what was being at the display there, there's one variety which was released last year, which is able to produce up to 8 metric tons per hectare, as opposed to the current production in the farm, which is about 0.5 metric tons per hectare. So our mandate as a research organization is to develop new varieties of sorghum, to develop how to control diseases, how to control pests, how to manage losses to the birds, and how to value add so that farmers can be able to maximize on the profits they are going to get from their products.
Beer industry, that is East Africa Breweries Limited, is contracting farmers. Right now, they have contracted many farmers in the Lower Eastern, the Upper Eastern, that's Makueni, Kitui, Meru, Taraka, and the Western, the whole of Western. They are planting sorghum for the East African breweries because nowadays they are mainly producing cheaper beer using the sorghum, cheaper and quality cleaner beer for our beer consumers using sorghum. On the other hand, because of the issue of acquisition of seed, mostly farmers are not able to access this seed. However much I say there is KSU, KALRO seed unit, and there is other seed companies, but still our farmers in the farming communities in the marginalized areas are not able to access enough quality seed. So the KSA project has taken it on itself to have a seed systems a theme which will help farmers to be able to also work together, be able to be trained on production of quality seed, production of good quality, which they can be, because sorghum is open for native variety, meaning sorghum, a farmer can be able to produce their own seed if guided to do so. So through KSAB, farmers will be trained on also to produce quality seed for their own use at the farm level.
Sorghum is a nutrient-packed grain that you can use in many ways. It is rich in vitamins and minerals like B vitamins, magnesium, potassium, phosphorus, iron, and zinc. It is likewise an excellent source of fiber, antioxidants, and protein.
There are a lot of products that can be developed from sorghum, including you can make bread, you can make donuts, you can make cakes. Apart from, I'm told you can also make pilau from sorghum as a food. So those are the value addition opportunities that are there for our farmers, especially at the local level, because those are products which are handmade and they can be sold even in our villages. We have a product that we have developed to control aflatoxin in maize and peanuts. It is called AflaSafe, KE01. It was developed by KALRO and ITA. We produce it in our center in Katumani, and the main ingredient of that product is sorghum is the carrier. So as the production of AflaSafe increases, we expect also that we will require more volumes of sorghum to be able to meet the demand of AflaSafe for the farmers.
People have decided to eat healthy food, and as we know, sorghum is very high in nutritional content and it's good for our health. It has very high protein content, starch content, calcium, iron, and these are the recommended nutritional ingredients for us. So because people have realized they need to eat healthy, so sorghum is becoming having more demand in the consumer market. The processors also are turning to sorghum because it's cheaper to produce and cheaper to process, and therefore the market demand is increasing. So there is a market pool, and when for a crop there is a market pool, of course the production will go high, the production area increases, and also more farmers adopt the varieties we are producing. So we have seen an increased adoption of varieties we are producing by farmers all over the country.
Sorghum production is faced with numerous constraints, and yields in the country continue to be as low as 0.5 to 0.9 tons per hectare at farm level, despite the development of improved varieties by KALRO with a potential yield of 3 to 4 tons per hectare. Productivity is constrained by climate change-induced drought, application of poor agronomic technologies, usage of unimproved sorghum varieties that yields poorly, limited access to agricultural inputs such as quality seed and fertilizer, and limited product diversification leading to low consumption.